Welcome to episode 625 of Salsidoparanormal. I'm your host, James Salcido, and tonight we are continuing our review of, now I forgot the name of the document here. It is Orpheus. Let's see here. Mythos of the World. There we go. I think I deleted that title of that book on accident. But anyway, and this is, of course, by Padraic. Somehow I remembered that. I don't know how. As always, you can find all episodes of the show along with links to social media and other ways to contact me at the podcast page. And that is salsidoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or accounts of paranormal experiences. Whether they're your own or from others that you trust, happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. Thank you all for listening, whether you are here for the live streams on Discord, or if you listen through the podcast or YouTube feeds, or on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP, Digital Broadcasting. There you can hear replays of 2 episodes of the show every night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right before Troubled Minds Radio comes on. And as always, I want to thank Michael Strange, host of Troubled Minds Radio, if I could talk, that'd be good, for having me on the network and putting all my shows up there. If you'd like to support the show, there are some different ways to do that. You can always share the show with others and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platform. You can find books I've written over on Amazon, paranormal fiction and nonfiction, including my most recent release, which is the first ever book associated with the podcast directly. I will talk more about that once I'm done with the usual introduction here. And you can also sign up for the Patreon page, where you'll find 2 extra episodes every week, whenever possible, of true paranormal stories from the web. You can also, of course, make one-time donations through PayPal. Support is never expected, but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making these shows, from equipment to research materials to travel expenses in some cases. And I think that takes care of all that. Like I said, I can finally say now the book, which is called Salsidoparanormal Experiences, is out in paperback and Kindle now on Amazon. And really glad to have that out. It took a while to put it all together. All my experiences, well, most of my experiences, and then several things I've shared in the show as far as things I've found online and accounts of other people's experiences. And so I put all that together, and like I said, took a lot of time to figure out what to keep in there, what to take out and save for maybe a sequel, which I did do that with some things. And but it's out, and I hope you all enjoy it. Please do let me know if you do, and if you want a sequel. I may still make one anyway, but we will see what happens. So, and of course, I will be including the link to that book on all my episode descriptions from now on, at least for a while. And so, yeah, I'm glad to have that done, and hope everyone enjoys it. For anyone that lives here in the U.S. that knows me, that listens to the show, if you would like a signed copy, please let me know, either through a message on social media or through Discord or through my email, which would be salsidoparanormal@gmail.com. And we can work out an arrangement for me to send you a signed copy. And those will be $15 a piece. So just to cover shipping and handling and all that necessary stuff. And so yeah, anyway, just want to bring that up because it's finally everything seems to be clear to say all that and to go into all that. And so anyway, just wanted to put that in there. And I won't talk about that every show, but just want to mention it on this first one since the official release of the book. So, but now we can get back to the actual content here of the show. And it's been a little while. I've had some technical issues and with just recording and with my eyes and everything. here and there. So there's been a few weeks here where I haven't done these usual shows. So I'm really glad to get back to them, and glad that everything seems to be so far working, so that we can do that. Because I do think these are important. These different kinds of shows, these reviews, and then these discussions of places, and then the one of my favorite parts is the true paranormal stories from the web. So looking forward to getting back to all of that, starting with tonight. So we were on Icelandic mythology, and in the middle of that, so this next story here is Loki's punishment. Says, and this, of course, I forgot to mention because I'm getting back into this again. When I do these reviews of these public domain books, I have AI summarize everything for me from the material, and then I read the summaries, and then we go over them in the shows and discuss them and share ideas and all those kinds of things. And that's how these book review shows, for this particular kind of book, this public domain book, that's how these are going to work. So everything I'm reading here is from AI, but it's based on the actual material of the book. It says, after ensuring Balder could not return from Hel, Hel, Loki, in the form of a crow, flew north to Jotunheim. I have to get used to saying all these names again. I'm going to apologize now, as I always do, because I'm not very good at pronouncing all these names. I'm going to make mistakes. So I apologize for that. Flew north to Jotunheim, where he hid from the god's wrath, and told the giants to start building the ship Naglfar, Naglfar, for the day of Ragnarok, which is this big, basically end of the world type mythology, if I'm not mistaken, for that part of the world. Tiring of Jotunheim, Loki then flew south to Muspelheim, living as a lizard. He told the fire giants the gods had lost much power. Tyr lost his hand. Freyr gave up his magic sword. In Asgarth, only Loki's wife, Sigyn, Sigyn, still wept for him, despite his leaving her and showing hatred. Loki then went to the world of men, as in humans, knowing the god's wrath might find him. He built a 4-door house to watch all directions, and gave himself the power to become a salmon. That's the only way I know to say it. Salmon, kind of fish, I believe, to hide in the gleaming waterfall. Out of hatred for fish, that's sad, I like fish, Loki invented the fishing net. Okay, so that's the explanation for how that started. The gods found his dwelling and saw the burnt net's imprint in the ashes. They made a copy of the net from the imprint. Loki hid between stones as they dragged the net through the waterfall, avoiding capture the first time. As they weighted the net for a second attempt, and weighted as in put weights on it, he swam towards the sea. At the river's mouth, a giant eagle hovered to catch fish. Loki turned back and leaped over the net, but Thor caught him by the tail and forced him into his proper form. They bound Loki to three rocks in a cavern. Skathi? I'm not sure. Skathi hung a venomous serpent over him as torment, its venom dripping onto Loki. Sigyn came to Loki's aid, catching the venom in a shell. But when she turned to empty the shell, the venom dripped on Loki, making him scream and writhe in agony. Let me see here. Loki remained bound until Ragnarok and the battle in which all things ended. So that's the that I was right about that. That battle, that name. So let me see here. Let me check on the chat here. So, and what's really odd to me now is, yes, words are hard. Is seeing some of these, like a few of these little things, not in the entire stories at all, but there have been little hints at that used in Marvel comics and their animated features, and not the really graphic stuff, obviously, but just showing video games, even showing Loki imprisoned and in chains and that kind of thing in between whatever chaos he causes. And so yeah, it's just kind of odd to. It's amazing, but it's also kind of odd because I like to keep these things kind of separate, the actual mythology from the Marvel stuff and the comic book stuff and the popular entertainment stuff, because I know it's the stuff that's out there now that's sort of somewhat based on these things is not usually not going to be very accurate. So, and it's really odd because I used to be sort of big on what is and what isn't canon or the main story in Marvel years ago. And then the whole multiverse thing just really took off with all the comics, and at that point I kind of decided, well, there goes that. Might as well not even try to keep track of all this. Anyway, I digress there. Sorry about that. But anyway, so getting back to the material here, we have the next section, and this is called, I never heard of this. The Children of Loki. So it says Loki went to live in Jarnvid, Jarnvid, the Ironwood, home to the foulest witches, ruled by a queen whose sons took wolf shapes, including Skull, Skoll, and Hati, Hati, who pursued the sun and moon, and Managarm, and Managarm, who would swallow the moon and stain the world with blood at Ragnarok. So this is all. It's amazing what is sort of predicted or what is mentioned even before the actual end time story kind of thing. There it says Loki wed the witch Angrabatha, Angr. There's no vowels in between the G and the R or the B that follows. Angbotha, and their children took on evil forms. The gods summoned Loki to bring them to Asgard. The first, Fenrir, I'm sure I've heard that name before, appeared as a fearful wolf. The second, Mythgarsorm, Mitgarthsorm, as a serpent. The third, Hel, Hel, had the form of a half-living woman, half-corpse. Odin hurled Hel to Niflhel, Niffhel, to rule 9 regions. Thor flung Mythgarthsorm into the ocean, where it encircled the world. Fenrir was allowed to remain in the outer courts of Asgard if fed, a task Tyr bravely took on. Fenrir grew monstrous, so the gods forged a mighty chain to bind him. Twice, Fenrir contemptuously allowed himself to be bound, then easily broke the chains. The gods commissioned the dwarfs to make an unbreakable fetter, Fetter, as in chain, basically. Gleipnir, 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 forged from 6 impossible things. On an island, the gods, reading too far ahead there, challenged Fenrir to test the fetter's strength. Suspecting a trick, Fenrir agreed only if one of the gods put his hand in his mouth as a pledge of release. Tyr placed his sword hand in Fenrir's jaws. When bound, the wolf could not break free. Enraged, he bit off Tyr's hand. So this is all, I'm guessing this is not all stories told in order, but I don't know, I could be wrong here. The gods chained Fenrir to a rock and drove Tyr's sword through his jaw to avenge Tyr's loss. Fenrir howled horribly, and again, keep in mind this is mythology here, so just think of this as concepts, if that helps. Fenrir howled horribly, his foaming mouth creating the river Von, V-O-N, that flowed until Ragnarok. So here you have so much of this section is talking about creating different parts of the world, or the worlds, however you want to look at that. With the serpent being released into the ocean that encircled the world, basically. They're a little bit further up here that I read. So that's always amazing when you have these stories about. At first, you're thinking of them as people and creatures, but then you see that they make things that are parts of the world. So then, are they really creatures? Are they something else? It's hard to say, but yeah, that's a amazing one there for that reason. Moving on now, we have, I believe, what it's going to be the last section of this, the last story of this section here, I believe. Let me just check on this, because I believe, yes, it is. Okay, so Ragnarok came up a couple times in what I just read, and now we have made it to that section. So this it says the title is Ragnarok, the Fate of the Gods. This describes the events of Ragnarok, the fate of the gods in Norse mythology. It starts with the Fimbul winter, Fimbul, 3 consecutive winters with no summer in between. So basically, nearly endless winter. Excuse me. First was the winter of winds with terrible storms. Second was the winter of the sword with violence and conflict. So you have, first they are talking about weather, but then they're talking about more of a physical nature of things, just regular events. Third was the winter of the wolf, when the wolf Managarm grew powerful. Signs appeared that Ragnarok was coming. I'm guessing they mean rooster here. A cock crowed, C-O-C-K, crowed, in the underworld. One crowed for the giants, one for the gods. The dog, Garm, G-A-R-M, barked. And the tree Yggdrasil, that's again that tree that connects all the different worlds, the tree Yggdrasil shook. Fenrir, the wolf, broke free from his bonds. The forces of evil gathered. The giants, the fire giants of Muspelheim, Loki, and Hel's minions. So all these entities, beings that were talked about in the previous sections. It says Odin consulted Mimir's head and decided to fight at Vigrid, Vigrid, I believe. The gods and heroes rode out to Vigrid, led by Odin. Great clashes occurred between the gods and the forces of evil. I see here. The gods Thor, Tyr, Odin, Freyr, and others were slain. Monsters like Fenrir, Garm, and the Midgard serpent were also killed. the world was consumed in flames from Surt's fire, and that's that other entity, that fire creature. Afterward, the sun and the moon were destroyed, but new ones appeared. A few surviving gods, like Vidar, Veli, Modai, I'm not sure, and Magni, slew the remaining monsters. And of course, this is a quick summary of everything, basically. And they found a new uncorrupted realm of Gimel, Gimle, and wise rulers, Vili and Ve, Vili, and then Ve. 2 humans, Lif and Lithrisur, Lif, and then Lifthrassir, had survived and would repopulate the new green world. So that's the end of that section of the book. I think we'll stop there just to sort of discuss some of that, because I hadn't heard what happened after. I had never read what happened after the whole Ragnarok thing. I feel like in again, going on like comic books and video games and TV and movies and cartoons and things, it's always either avoided or it happens, but of course most of the characters survive, the Marvel versions or whatever. And but this one, they all pass away. But then if you think about the way that mythology and stories and all those things work, they never really do die in a way, because every time someone talks about them again, it starts the whole thing over, which is really fascinating to me, because again, it makes them seem like almost like how they were described, which is near to really almost completely immortal. And maybe I wonder if that's what it was meant in those descriptions of them that way, being that way. So yeah, neat section there. I'm glad that we were able to finish off that section on Icelandic mythology in this one episode here. So, but yeah, we'll be going on to next one will be about mythology from India. Looks like, and this should be good. I know less about India as far as their mythology than I do about Norse mythology, for sure, because again of the comic book and Marvel stuff and all that. So that'll be good for next time. Please check out all the links in every episode description for all the friends that have been on the show with me over the last few years here, and please check out the Troubled Minds Radio Network. Listen to it whenever you can. It's on 24/7 with myself and others that you will recognize from my show and then from Troubled Minds, as well as both our shows are on there. And so it's 24/7 great content over there all day. And I think that takes care of that. Again, you'll notice in the episode description from now on, I will be including the new book that just came out. But I will be doing that, but I won't be talking about the book in every episode. So just, I want to mark it, but I also don't want it to be obnoxious. So, but yeah, and I will be going on another podcast at some point in the future as well to talk about the book there too. So I'll share those links once I have them. Thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsidoparanormal. Take care.